Episode 3, The Woman the Locusts Feared. Maraye was the kind of beautiful that made men stupid in different ways. Some became clumsy, some became grandiose, some fell completely silent, their tongues temporarily liberated from the burden of thought. And some, a very specific kind of man, the kind who understands that beauty is not merely a feature of a face, but a quality of a presence, became paradoxically more themselves, as though her warmth clarified something in them that had previously been blurred. She was built along the generous lines that the women of Brokewais celebrated, and that the village's artists rendered endlessly in clay and wood. Her skin was the color of the yellow pap that the village women made on festival mornings, smooth, warm, even, with a quality of light about it that seemed to operate independently of the actual sun. Her eyes were the color of good earth after rain. Her laugh, which she deployed readily and without self-consciousness, was the sound of water over smooth stones. The locusts and rodents never touched Maraye's farm, and this was not metaphor. Every villager knew it to be literal fact. They did not know whether it was Beau's reputation that kept the pests away, or whether Maraye herself had some arrangement with the natural world, some courtesy extended to her by the small life of the forest, in recognition of something the small life understood better than the large. Both explanations seemed plausible. Both were left standing. Beau listened to her the way large rivers listen to small streams, with a slow, powerful, comprehensive attention that took everything in without being redirected. He would sit with her in the evenings when the fireflies turned the air above the cassava field into something that looked like the sky had fallen and was resting before rising again. He would drink his palm wine slowly for him, which still represented an impressive volume. And she would talk, and he would listen, and sometimes say one or two words that landed in the conversation like stones dropped in still water, sending ripples she would think about for days. He loved her. This was known. How he loved her, with what particular depth and texture of feeling, was known only to the Iroko trees and to Maraye herself. To understand Maraye, you must first understand that there are men in the world who exist in a state of permanent and joyful wrongness, not malicious wrongness, not even purposeful wrongness, simply a congenital inability to occupy the correct position at the correct time, with the correct expression on their faces. Maraye had been born with this condition and had refined it over the years into something approaching an art form. He was a little man. This is the only polite way to say it, and it had the additional virtue of being accurate by the standards of any village anywhere in the world. He was little in height, little in girth, little in the way that suggested the gods had made him to a careful plan, and then, at some critical stage, simply run out of material. He was to women what smoke was to fire. Where they gathered, he materialized. The women of Brokewais found him infuriating in the manner of a persistent and slightly damaged bird that builds its nest in your best calabash. You could not truly hate him. He was too ridiculous for hatred. On the specific afternoon that would alter the course of his short remaining life, Maraye had been tapping palm wine from a tree at the edge of the village while simultaneously minding everyone else's business. A woman in a separate compound appeared to be wrestling with an attacker. He scrambled down his tree and up another for a closer look. The attacker turned out to be a rapper staging a rebellion against a water pot. His leg became stuck in the branches. He rested. He watched. The woman took her bath. Her skin was smooth like well-made yellow pap. There was something about the way the afternoon light moved across her that made the air between them seem consequential, charged with information he had no language for. He watched her run her hands through her hair, and the gesture had the quality of something entirely private, a moment of a woman alone in her own existence, unperformed and complete. When Maraye finally freed his leg and climbed down, he sat at the base of the tree for a long time. The next morning, he asked the market women whose compound that was. They looked at him. They looked at each other. "That is Maraye," they said, "the woman of Beau." Maraye took this information in with the careful expression of a man hearing something in a language he does not speak, and choosing, through sheer will, to not understand it. He dreamed of her that night, and the night after that, until the dreams had accumulated into something that could no longer be called dreaming, something that had to be called love, whether he wanted it to or not. The Feast of Godoze was 3 months away. In episode 4, Maraye walks into the spirit-haunted forest. He's going to find the chief priest, the oldest, most powerful magic worker in the land, and he's going to ask for a weapon that can kill 10 elephants with 1 blow. Subscribe right now. Episode 4 is where the magic gets real, because what the chief priest gives Maraye will change everything. Well, almost everything.